So we've reached the end of our 4-week time management series, and in this final session we're going to think about long-term strategic planning, the vision and the direction that we have for where we want to take our business. I'm going to share with you a short section of a talk that I gave during the Recipe for Success bootcamp, explaining exactly how our conceptual long-term plans and vision for our business can actually be turned into actions that we undertake on a week-by-week basis. So the process we're going to take is, first of all, understanding your current business, thinking about vision and long-term goal setting, how you turn those goals into manageable steps, looking at weekly and daily planning, and looking at how you review and adjust your plans. And then to conclude, I've got a few bits of bonus material which get back into the sort of softer side of the psychology of time management. So starting with understanding your current business. Now, I'm going to come back to why you need to know this for time management, but I hope one thing you'll take away from this course is how important it is to be regularly analysing each of your projects. And as part of that, even if you're not charging on a time-based fee, you do need to know how much of your time is going into each of your projects so that you can make a comparison of profitability against one project and another. Each time you complete a project, there should be a wash-up. How many hours did you work on the project based on timesheets? How much did you make in design fees? How much did you make in supply? Were there any other revenues? And therefore, actually, what was your hourly rate on this project? You could have two projects that appear to make the same amount of money in terms of revenues, but if they have very different periods of time spent on them, they're very different levels of profitability. So you should do this simple analysis for every project going forward, and then you can compare your projects chronologically so you can look for trends in your business. Ultimately, you can ask yourself when you're looking at a project analysis, what struck you in particular about this project? Were there issues that needed to be addressed? So a very simple wash-up to conclude each project, and then the ability to compare projects chronologically and track the growth of your business and learn from that about perhaps changes in direction or changes in methods or ways that you work. Then looking at your vision and your long-term goal setting. What vision do you currently have for your mature business? What markets do you see yourself serving? What are your clients like? Why do you stand out? What makes you special? Or what do you want to be known for in the future? It's a goal that you could be working towards. And what about business revenues? You need to create financial models to work out in detail the resources that you're going to need to support your business and to understand the revenue that it's going to be generating. To manage your time productively right now, you need to know the state of your current business and the plan for your future business. So the little sketchy graphic over on the right-hand side, at the bottom left, you've got your current business. Up in the clouds, you have this dream business, this vision that you have that should be fleshed out. You should know what it is. And when you look at what you've got and what you want, you then create a plan that is going to be the staged plan that is going to get you there. So your monthly tasks are going to align with this plan. This is where our tasks are going to come from. Obviously, they're also going to come from our existing clients, and they're going to come from all the other mundane needs that our business has. But baked into all of this should be the staged movement of, towards the business that you hope ultimately to be running. So the plan, if you take the plan for your future business and deduct the state of your current business, you're left with the to-do list, the things that you need to do in order to move from the smaller to the bigger. So I know it sounds crazy, but to plan your time for next week to be most effective, you need to know what you want your business to look like in 5 years' time. And that sounds completely bonkers, but otherwise you're just reacting, you're just guessing. And some of the frustrations that you have with your business are potentially going to persist because you don't have a vision of an alternative way of being. For anybody who struggles with time management, it's possibly going to be beneficial to talk about business planning, because when you have a vision, you can begin to make everything concrete. So how do we turn these goals into manageable steps? So first of all, in our diary, we should have a date for annual planning. So annually, a day probably spent thinking about what you have described as your ideal future business, reviewing the financial models that you've created and seeing how what you've done to date compares to what you estimated you would have done in this period of time, and just making sure that you still have the same vision, or maybe you want to change it. Maybe something fantastic has happened, a wonderful opportunity has come up, you see a different business model, and now you want to reconsider everything in light of that. So annual planning, key milestones, major objectives for the year, very important. Then, quarterly, you're going to have a focus meeting where you break down those annual goals and you actually turn them into quarterly targets. So you give yourself a challenge that in order to meet the goal that you have for the year, you can't do it unless you achieve this outcome in the quarter, and you manage your progress towards those long-term goals. So into your diary as well is going a meeting quarterly to have this eye that you're keeping on the big picture at the same time, obviously, that you're managing the day-to-day. Monthly, you're going to have a monthly action plan. And those are specific actions that you've decided are required in order to meet the quarterly targets. We take our big strategic plan, we take our vision for our business, we break it down over time, and we make sure that we've always got an eye on it and that we're constantly thinking about how we take those visions and goals and we try and work them into what we're doing on a weekly or daily basis in order to make the vision come true. So your annual, quarterly and monthly plans can be subdivided according to functional area. This is how I do it. So I think about an executive board or the corporate board of a commercial business, and I think about the different departments: finance, marketing, operations, human resources, sales and management. And I think about my future business clicking through each of those different disciplines and I'll talk about this a little bit more in a moment. Weekly and daily planning. How you get from this conceptual vision to the actual nitty-gritty of what am I going to do on Wednesday. Your to-do lists are the missing link. So your to-do list picks up tasks from your long-term goals and delivers those tasks to your daily grind. So the to-do lists are the missing link between the strategic and the day-to-day operational. You should take 60 minutes each week to plan your week. As part of that, you're going to be reviewing the progress against your monthly action plan, and you're going to be creating actions and importing those actions to your to-do list. Of course, you're also going to be reviewing active client projects. You're going to be importing actions from your client projects to your to-do list. You're going to be reviewing your business operations, and you're going to be importing actions to your to-do list. Your to-do list is where you record everything that you need to do. We take 15 minutes each day to plan our day. This is how I do my planning. I don't know if you've come across a creative problem-solving idea by Edward de Bono, his 6 hats of creative problem-solving. I have a fantasy boardroom. So I sit with my phone making notes on a Monday morning, and I've been thinking about my business and things that are troubling me or things I'm excited about. I have my fantasy boardroom, and I put on the different hats. Metaphorically, I don't carry hats with me, for the different departments in my business, of which I am the sole employee. And I put my finance hat on and I think, do I have any invoices overdue? Have I got too much business coming in? Should I think about putting my prices up in order to manage the flow of business? So I think about all the things relating to finance that are part of my future plans, but also current issues. Most of my time I spend with my marketing hat on. I spend a lot of time with my marketing director. It's one of my most challenging relationships. And I set myself targets for the things I need to do that week to promote my business. Similarly with operations, I work from home. I don't have a major number of operations issues, and I am my only employee, so I don't have a big conversation with human resources. I might have some time on IT, thinking about technology, and then finally or maybe at the beginning even, I'll put on my CEO hat, my boss hat, and I will start making plans. I'll make plans. I'll think about the plans I previously made. Are they still relevant? How should they be changed? And I put notes to myself on my phone, telling myself that when I get back to my desk, exactly what I propose to do that week and the various actions that need to be taken forward. So all of that happens in my fantasy boardroom 1 hour a week, when I am being boss Julia, as opposed to worker Julia, who later on is just going to go ahead and do all of the work. So you take 60 minutes each week to plan your week, and we put everything onto our to-do lists. So the final part of the bulk of today's presentation is just thinking about always keeping an eye on your future plans and how what you're currently doing is feeding into those. So we had the monthly action plan. We were making sure that at some point each month, we schedule in a meeting for ourselves to think about our monthly action plan, which is based on our big picture planning. I love to talk this through with my partner. Maybe you have a friend or a family member or somebody that you really feel you would benefit from talking through your business strategy. It's really helpful to talk to somebody else. So you could maybe schedule in an appointment with somebody else or with a mentor or a coach or whatever. And of course, there is also the need to put in that big, important annual planning event. So these are going into your diary as well. And you could try putting them in now. As you can see them coming towards you, you need to start thinking about them. You need to start putting onto your to-do list the actions that will prepare you for these meetings. So perhaps you need to do some analysis, some reflection, some competitor analysis. You need to seek some feedback on your performance in order to be fully equipped for these meetings that you've put into your diary and that are regular points, opportunities for you to consider your performance. So feedback loops, making sure that you're incorporating client feedback on your performance into these strategy meetings. And remaining flexible, changing tack where necessary, moving time blocks around based on experience and opportunities. It's all fine. None of this is carved in stone. I also want to talk to you about two other concepts. The first of these is time boxing. When we set a time box, we commit to finishing the work within the duration of the box. So we will not allow ourselves to continue this project. The thing that's in the box cannot continue beyond the end of the box. It's a great way, if you're being too perfectionist about something, or if you're procrastinating, or if you can't make yourself get down to a particular piece of work, if you put it into a time box and you say, that's it for this piece of work, it can help you to get it done. I also briefly mentioned Pomodoro, and Pomodoro came from one of these kitchen timers that looks like a tomato. The idea is that you set your timer for a short period of time, 10, 15 minutes, half an hour, and you work intensively until the timer goes off. Then you have a break, maybe you have a break for 5 minutes, and then you come back and you do the same thing again. And then every hour or two, you would have a longer break, move around, get some fresh air. And this is very useful for projects that seem endless. You know, projects that just look like they're going to stretch out into the time ahead for months. By just forcing yourself to do little short spurts regularly, you'll actually get the thing done. So I just want to wrap up by talking about what we've learned in the last 4 sessions on time management. First of all, we adjusted our expectations. We realised that we can't have it all, that we are going to have to choose the things that we do and maybe set other things aside. We made the choice based on understanding our governing values. We know to put everything on a list, unless it's going to take less than 2 minutes, in which case we do it immediately. We've also created a routine to-do list called non-negotiables, and these are the things that our business needs us to commit to doing on a daily and weekly basis. This consistent action that is eventually going to deliver the results that we want for our business. We learned about time blocking, and we began by putting in a date for an annual review for our business. We also put in quarterly review dates, and we have time in our calendar for monthly planning. Once we've done all of that, we pop in time daily for our non-negotiables. And of course, we're planning our activities weekly and on a daily basis. We tackle our emails 3 times a day instead of being distracted by them continually. And we pop in any other time blocks that we need for existing regular and planned time commitments. So once we've put all of our regular commitments into the calendar, we can use up remaining time by dropping in blocks of time, chug through the things that are on our to-do list. I spoke to you about boss mode and worker mode, this concept that we separate ourselves into. Part of us takes responsibility for doing all of the strategic thinking, all of the planning, all of the decision making. And once the decisions have been made, once the plan is ready, it's given to the other half of us. So the other half doesn't suffer from decision fatigue and is much more productive because they don't actually have to do any planning or deciding as they're going through the list of work that needs to be done. We prioritised our time based on urgency and importance, and we noticed that in quadrant 4, there are all kinds of unpleasant tasks that aren't really important or necessary, and that we should see those coming and try not to say yes to any tasks that are just going to go straight to quadrant 4. So finally, I'm going to mention a group that I run, which is called Hot House. Hot House is a business accelerator for ambitious interior designers. In this group, we set ourselves annual and monthly targets. We declare them out loud at the beginning of the month, and we report on progress during the month. At the end of the month, we tell the group how we've done. So this public accountability helps us to be more consistent and to stick to the goals that we've set ourselves, making us much more likely to achieve them in the long run. Do look out for Hot House on Facebook. It's Hot House Excellence in Interior Design Business. Thank you very much for watching. I really hope you found this useful, and I look forward to hearing about your time management successes as a result of the small changes and tweaks that this course might have helped you to make.